But Johnny, let's move into our final topic, and we're going back into the MCU side, but taking a detour. Well, we're going Marvel, but we're taking a detour, and we're going down to Sony to discuss the Venom movie. So apparently, we haven't talked about this before. This has been common knowledge for about a week or two, I want to say, maybe a couple weeks. So they have the storyline that the Venom movie is going to dive into. And it's basically going to go after two separate stories from the comics. The first one is the Lethal Protector storyline, where basically the bare bones of it is that we have Venom in San Francisco teams up with Spider-Man to defeat Offspring from the Life Foundation, who have taken Venom and tried to create Offspring from the Venom symbiote. They also are taking Planet of the Symbiotes, where basically it's Spider-Man, Scarlet Spider, Venom. Venom thinks he's creating or causing murders. However, he's not. It's the symbiotes from Lethal Protector, and they're trying to create a time machine to make them go to a planet that's been overrun by symbiotes. Here's the thing in Planet Symbiotes, though, or Planet of the Symbiotes. You have Cletus Cassidy, released from prison. He bonds again with the Carnage villain. You're all caught up to speed. Those are the two storylines that they are using in the Venom movie. So we could get a kind of bridge where it's like, I know that Flash Thompson is the one who's Agent Venom, but we could get an Eddie Brock who's Agent Venom. That's the one thing that I've been hearing from different YouTube videos and articles. Here's what I want to ask you, Johnny, is do you think with Venom and going up against Carnage, Carnage being the main baddie, do you think that this Venom movie is going to do Carnage justice? Because I remember Storytime with Papa Widmer walking out of one of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man way back. Don't roll your eyes at me. Walking out of that going, and even back then going to Dave and being like, because this is before me and you knew each other, going to Dave and going, could you imagine if we got Carnage? If we got Carnage as a Spider-Man villain, but both of us at that time were like, I wouldn't want them. Like, Dave even says, like, yeah, to do Carnage, they'd have to do rated R. And guess what both of us did? We both laughed. Because at that time, wasn't even fathomable that we would get a rated R superhero movie at the time that that first Spider-Man trilogy came out. I want to ask you, though, do you think this movie is going to do Carnage justice?
Well, I'll say this. I rolled my eyes because you mentioned Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and that just makes me roll my eyes because I thought those were the worst Spider-Man.
The first one wasn't bad.
Wasn't bad, but if you're going to take it chunk, I'm going to say that is the worst Spider-Man movies.
I don't even think the second one was that bad.
The
third one with Sandman and Venom was like, okay, that's kind of bad.
Yeah. I didn't like the second one all that much either. The first one was...
Isn't that the Raimi? Is that the Raimi Spider-Man?
It may be, but it's also just... Let me ask you, Raimi? How much of it is because it's nostalgia and it's like probably basically our first Marvel superhero movie, because I think it came out before Iron Man.
I will say, Spider-Man 1, I'll have to go and rewatch it again because I have rewatched it since, but it's been a while since my last watching. I didn't think the first one was bad.
I wouldn't say it's bad, but I would go Andrew Garfield over those ones. I didn't like Tobey. I don't like Tobey Maguire as a Spider-Man.
I mean, I'll go Andrew Garfield, The Amazing Spider-Man 1. I didn't like 2.
But I liked him as a Spider-man better than I like Tobey Maguire. Okay.
But
I digress. Let's go into the actual topic.
For a different day. What do you think Carnage will be done justice in Venom? Third time I'm asking this question.
Third time. Yeah, okay, fine. I'm trying to think. Because I'm not sure how Sony's been... I don't know, honestly, because I haven't seen them come out with anything else superhero-y after Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man movies. Because after that, they made a deal with Disney, and they don't have Spider-Man now. I'm really hoping they can, and seeing as they decide they're going to do it rated R, that's one step in the right direction.
Well, you have to.
No, you have to,
honestly. The only thing I think about is... How do I want to phrase this? How vicious are they going to make Carnage? because Carnage is one of those where, like, of course I want them to go all out, but will they go all out? Even though it's a rated R film, am I going to leave this film in a year from now, because it's going to be October of 2018 when we get this?
Yeah.
Am I going to leave the theater going, man, like there was just something missing from Carnage. There was just something missing that they were afraid to go that extra step.
Well, I hope they do take a note from. I'm gonna go with Logan over. I'm gonna go with Logan as the example, because there. Did I not say before they even put it on the trailers? I want to see Logan just stick his claws through someone's skull. And what do we get in the trailer?
But yet again, that was Fox, not Sony. That was
Fox, and what I'm trying to say is I hope they take a note from Fox. Well, other than the fact that they're now bought out by Disney.
Yeah,
Sony, just do it. And they take a note from Fox and just say, hey, let's just make it that graphic. I want to see Venom take those fingers, make them sharp, and stab through someone. That's what I want to see. I want to see them going willing to do that route of showing that. Because that's something Venom would do. Am I wrong?
No, he would go, like, and that's the thing. Would kill and wouldn't feel sorry for it.
No.
Like, no remorse whatsoever. And he would kill you in the most gruesome, disgusting, and wouldn't care how he was killing you as long as he killed you.
Honestly, taking the symbiote, doing that finger thing, but just like holding the person and having the symbiote in like fine needle, like go into the person and kill him that way.
Yeah.
Like it's not even like just stab him. Like it's slowly like going into each orifice and just. That's something I can see Carnage doing. I'm just going through his Wikipedia page, and yeah, there's not many pictures on there.
Yeah.
But there's one way at the bottom under television. He's holding Spider-Man like this. He turned his hand to an axe. He's like, I'm just gonna chop him in half.
Yeah. And
that's Carnage.
And that's the thing where
it's in the fucking name. Pardon my why am I saying pardon my language?
And the thing with this film that's going to be interesting, and this is going into movie rights, where first off, this is off topic, but you mentioned when you said Sony just do it. Did you know now that Disney bought Fox, they own I think I read they own 27% of the film industry now. 27% of the film industry is owned by one company in Disney. Now that they have bought out Fox and own the film and television side for them. But the thing that makes it interesting is in this movie, it's basically, from my knowledge, it's going to be Venom versus these children's symbiotes and Carnage.
Yes.
To where I think this is what's going in my mind, if I'm going off of the comics that they said they're going to use for this main storyline, what I think may happen is, I don't know exactly how they're going to introduce the symbiote to Eddie Brock, only because the symbiote comes from outer space. Maybe this life industry is going to be working, like they've already had it from space, and now it's just, you know what, we're working on it, and then it gets mixed with Eddie Brock somehow, some way. But after that, there's going to be offsprings of it. Like, hey, we're doing experiments trying to create more of it. He's going to have to go against these children. And then it's like, hey, look, there's this Cassidy, Cletus Cassidy, who gets released from prison. Oh, shit, we didn't even know about this symbiote, which is the Carnage symbiote. And then he's got to go against Carnage, and that's kind of your big baddie. I don't think, I'd be surprised if we get Spider-Man in this. I don't think we're getting Spider-Man in this at all. And it's just later on, okay, Spider-Man will be infused into this Venom Sony mini world they're
even
doing.
Like maybe a nod to Spider-Man was what I would go with. Here's what I would think to go about it, because you said, I was listening to the synopsis you were going, combining these stories. So basically you kind of have a Venom Eddie Brock redemption story kind of going on.
Yes, exactly. That's what it's going
with the other Carnage thing going on. What if it's sort of like this? We get Eddie Brock kind of a redemption story going on. We get flashbacks to how he got the symbiote, and then they
could do it flashback style.
Yeah, that way we don't have, because a lot of people already know the premise of how he got the symbiote. It fall from space. It was on Spider-Man first, and it attached to him.
Here's the thing, though.
Yes,
in this MCU Sony picture world, are they even, they're not even going, in my mind, they're not even going to reference that it got stuck to Spider-Man. Because where do you, then it's like, remember when Spider-Man Homecoming came out?
Yes.
And everyone was like, where does this fit in the timeline? And exactly all the timeline issues that people had with it. Imagine another issue with it is if they go, yeah, the symbiote was on Spider-Man. What the fuck? How does that even happen?
Well, no, I'm just saying, this is from comic books. Yeah, this is from
but I'm just
TV series.
I'm bridging it over now.
To bridge it over to that, I would say maybe just like it saw Spider-Man and wanted to emulate him, which is why it has the Spider-Man-esque symbol, which like sort of looks like Spider-Man, but obviously it's not, and it's got maybe like he wanted to work. It wanted to work with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It wouldn't let him, or like Eddie Brock. Maybe it's like an Eddie Brock. It attached to Eddie Brock right away. What he's like, oh, I got powers now. I want to work with Spider-Man. And Spider-Man's like, no, I'm not going to work with you, man. Like too much differential. Then the symbiote doesn't know how like life works on Earth, and it's kind of like taking shit too far. And then obviously, anyways, back it goes to he's trying to do his redemption story. And it goes maybe another flashback, or like it starts off in this area where he's in a lab trying to figure out what the hell is attached to him. And that's how the scientists or whoever makes these other symbiotes, because I think so
he goes into where it's like, what the hell is this thing?
Yeah, like get this stuff off of me. And then eventually...
Question for you. Yes. This just came into my head. So I'm looking on IMDb, and it says the release date right now is October 5th, 2018.
Okay.
After Infinity War. Are they going to do something to where, because here's the thing. Yes, this Sony Spider-Verse is going to be its own thing. Apparently what they're doing is this Venom movie will kick off the Spider-Verse. And the animated movie, remember I showed you the trailer, we didn't talk about it on the podcast, but the Into the Spider-Verse, they're trying to create their own Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And this is going to kick it off. However, it's loosely connected to the MCU because Spider-Man and that whole thing where they gave the right, they let Marvel use Spider-Man in those films. So they're loosely tied to the MCU without being in the MCU, being their own thing. They can just free flow, hey, we're going to come up with deals here and there. You want to use this? Here, let's strike a deal. You want to use this character? Here, strike a deal. But we have our own Spider-Verse to fall back on. And eventually Peter Parker is going to come into this already established Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Because this is October of 2018 after Infinity War, without Marvel does their own thing. They don't reference at all to the Spider-Verse. It's not like an after credit scene where we see the symbiote on Peter Parker. Nothing at all. They just, for their own sake in the Spider-Verse, go, hey, we had this storyline going on in San Francisco while or after Infinity War, where Thanos was coming from outer space. With that all happening, residual effects, I said that word wrong, basically effects not related to New York happened. That's how Eddie Brock that's how the symbiote got to Earth.
Yeah, could
through all the events and maybe gateway openings and everything Thanos
some
was
little
doing.
Asteroid had it.
Yes.
On
like
there, just
something
shot
to
down.
do with Infinity War, or do they do a kind of, yeah, this is coming out in October, but this storyline takes place before Infinity War?
I would guess it would take before Infinity War because it doesn't really tie in. Again, it's Sony, and I don't know if Sony really has rights to use that, so I don't think they would.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be just, it could happen before Infinity War. And it's just symbiote falls from space, et cetera, all that stuff happens. But it, like maybe it started in, like everything that happened started in New York because you have to reference Spider-Man. At least, and say
we have to at least have references to Spider-Man,
Spider-Man and New York. It has to at least have started in New York, and then he's like, you know what, I'm getting out of New York. I want nothing to do with any of this. Get the symbiote as far away from Spider-Man so it can not be bothered by the thought of it anymore. We're gonna go across the country, other side of it. We're gonna do everything we need to do in San Francisco. I'm gonna be a good guy now. I'm gonna try and be a good guy now.
Yeah, and
then like. The other part I would say is he at first, like on his journey of before he decides to be the superhero, is like, I want this thing off of me. Can you guys figure out what the fuck it is and get it off of me?
So you're saying he's already been dealing with the symbiote.
I think it's going to start where he's already been dealing with it, but maybe either start after the laboratory stuff or during the laboratory stuff, because obviously someone has to get a hold of Venom in order to make Carnage, to make Toxin, to make Anti-Venom, because all of them were created. Am I correct?
Yes.
You know a little bit better than I do just because you've read the comics more than I have.
Here's the thing with, and I would have to reread Planet of the Symbiotes.
Yeah.
I know they created the offspring to Venom. I'm just not sure if Carnage is involved.
I think
was involved.
I thought Carnage was a combination of Spider-Man's blood and the Venom symbiote. Like those two infused together made Carnage. That's what I thought. And maybe I'm wrong about that. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong too.
Let's be honest. They could basically do whatever they want.
That's true. They could do whatever they want. I would hope that, but I would think that then maybe they just make Carnage a separate symbiote. That's another one that fell from space and this other guy has it and he's just a psychopath.
You know what? You are right. I'm looking online right here and it says the name Carnage also refers to the Carnage symbiote, the spawn of the Venom symbiote.
Yes.
Which bonded to Cassidy while he was serving 11 life sentences in prison.
Yeah, so maybe this laboratory made it, and because it's like, hey, you're serving 11 life sentences, let us test this stuff out of you because it could kill you anyways. They put it on him, realized that, oh shit, it's the same thing as Venom, but worse. And now that you have a host that's a psychopath attached to this, because symbiotes learn off of their host. Yeah. Basically. And that's what it's going to learn. It's going to learn, okay, everything needs to die. And there's no remorse with it. And maybe that's where this whole storyline goes then is, well, and he feels responsible because like, wait, it's a symbiote just like mine. He finds out it's based off of his symbiote and et cetera, et cetera. Redemption arc starts.
The one thing I'm thinking here is obviously when I'm going back to Venom now really quickly. Obviously, we're not going to it's not going to be a true anti-hero redemption story. It's just going to be, hey, you know what? We know you're not stupid. Eddie Brock was a bad guy. Yeah. When it came to first getting the symbiote. We are jumping in timeline. He's a good guy or the anti-hero. Where it's like, yes, Venom's a bad guy. The symbiote's bad, but he wants to do the right thing. And I like the idea that you said like, hey, you know what? We've been testing out these symbiotes. Let us try one on you. You're sentenced to
11 life sentences.
11 life sentences. Let us try this on you. It might kill you anyways. They're thinking, hey, we will be able to bring it off of you. Like, yeah. But this thing bonds and then boom. Cassidy is Venom or Carnage. Thank you. From that point on. And then he breaks out of prison. Oh, yeah. That's what I basically think. He breaks out of prison, and then it's Venom. Holy shit, I got to stop him. Yeah. I got to stop this one thing. I want to ask you this from the Planet of the Symbiote story. What I was also thinking, the other symbiotes get loose. And this is if they want to do the exact Planet of the Symbiotes thing. But you know how it's created that machine to go, they were going to that planet of the symbiotes. What if it's like, holy shit, I got to stop all of you guys because you're creating a machine to bring those symbiotes to Earth. Maybe. And have those symbiotes take over the entire world.
That could be the case. Is he has to stop the rest of them from doing it. I mean, that would bring in Toxin, Anti-Venom. I know there's others, and I can't remember what they were. I'm actually going to see if I can get the symbiote list real quick.
Because that's what they're going to go to is these symbiotes of Venom, and there's a ton of them. Did you pull up the list? Did you find the list?
Not yet.
I think I may
type in symbiote Spider-Man symbiote list.
Because Carnage is there, like you said, Toxic is there. The thing that we're not going to get, and this is what I'll bring up, is we're not getting Secret Wars. Because Secret Wars is this is how the symbiote got to Earth. Where basically it attached to Peter Parker, came back to Earth. Peter Parker dealt as Black Suit Spider-Man, and then eventually the symbiote moved on and is now with Eddie Brock. We're not going to get that. We're getting, here's Eddie Brock. I'm going to go back and say it. I like what you were saying, where it's like, hey, Eddie Brock already has the symbiote. We're going to flash back you to, like, in
show
kind of,
you.
I'm gonna throw this out and see if you like it or not. What if it's kind of like PTSD type stuff, where it's like PTSD type flashbacks, 2 points, because with the Venom symbiote, especially early on, Brock isn't in control.
No, that's true.
What if it's PTSD flashbacks where it's like Brock can see and remembers everything that's going on, but it's kind of
no control of it.
It's kind of like that out of body experience to where it's like, what the fuck is happening? And the symbiote takes over.
Maybe it's during his he's in San Francisco.
Early stages.
Well, I'm saying his early stages of this trying to become not be a villain anymore, and maybe it's like PTSD in the sense he's like stopping a mugging, holding the guy up, and then like all of a sudden like PTSD flashback of what he would have used to do.
Yeah, before he learned to control.
Yeah, the symbiote.
The symbiote. I'm going to ask you this. Any final thoughts on all this?
Well, all I'm going to say is the only thing I have a problem with the planet symbiote thing. I forgot what you said the title was. Planet of the symbiotes. I mean, not all the symbiotes are bad either. I think it's anti-venom. And I could be wrong. Maybe it's anti-venom. I know there's actually one that's good. It can cure cancer. It does good things. Like the symbiote is good. So, I mean, I wouldn't really think that one would, unless it's like an altered state of thought where it's like, oh, if I'm this type of symbiote, maybe there's more of them like that, and they can come and take care of this stuff too. Maybe that's the altered mindset there, which is why it's like going along with the other ones. I'd say not all of them would be part of that.
Yeah.
Maybe just Carnage is trying to make this, hey, there's more symbiotes out there. I'm going to bring them all here.
And the ones from...
And let's do this.
The ones from Planet of the Symbiote, because I looked it up.
Yeah.
We've got Riot, Lasher, Agony, Scream, and Phage.
All the violent ones.
Yeah. That's
all the violent ones.
That's the ones from Planet of the Symbiote. Phage, Riot, Lasher, Agony, and Scream.
All the violent ones.
Yeah. So will they even use like an anti-venom?
Maybe not yet. After credit scene.
Maybe, because... Here's another thing you got to think of that they've got to set up in some way. Don't they have and I'm going to screw it up. Don't they have the Black Cat and Silver? Sable. That's it. I knew it was something
Silver
with an
Sable,
S.
yeah.
Yeah, Sable and Black Cat movie. Maybe they throw a tease to that at the end. I don't know what they would do for a post-credit scene.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, right?
This is going to be very interesting because this is basically going to be their first deep dive back into the Spider-Verse. Because before that, the last one was what? Amazing Spider-Man 2? That was the last Sony Spider-Man movie we got? Yeah, that was the last one. The one with Electro? That's the last one that we have had. So we haven't even had anything with this new Tom Holland as a Sony production. We've
Not
had
a Sony
obviously
production.
Spider-Man Homecoming, but this is where I want to turn on to you guys. What do you guys think? This one's kind of a little different. I'm thinking right now on YouTube, it might be a different title than me and you thought of, only because we talked about Carnage, but we dealt a lot about the plot of this and between the two. So I want you guys, the first question we did ask, what do you expect from Carnage in this? What do you think he's going to be like? But more importantly, with this story, because that was basically our conversation throughout. What are you expecting them to do with these two? Throw us your theories. Throw us what's going on in your head, what they could do with this. But I want to thank you guys. This is us wrapping up the podcast here on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio. Thank you for listening the whole way through. If you're on YouTube, go check out our other segments. We had 2 great ones for this podcast talking about MCU villains that could be introduced, as well as Ready Player One. A little bit of housekeeping here at the end. First off, patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. You like what we're doing, want to help us out, $1 you can get an exclusive Patreon podcast, $2 gets you the video, $10 you're on a show with us each and every month. You are at that tier. Second off, you want an MVP t-shirt. Like I said, not wearing mine today, but I'm still showing you where it would be. It's a MVP Most Valuable Podcast All of that's down below in the description. And last but not least, if you're on iTunes, you have an iTunes account, give us a 5-star rating, then do the same for the Onside Kick, the Primetime Podcast, and the Fast Break. It would really mean the world to us if you could give us that succulent 5-star rating. I want to thank you guys for either watching or listening, however you have been digesting this podcast. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as always, have a good day, everybody.